everybody. This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, and Highland Park Planet on January 23rd, 2024, and was posted on the Borough website at www.hpborough.com and on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, 221 South 5th Avenue, Highland Park, New Jersey, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. Fire exits are to the left and right of the members. When you are speaking, please remember to speak into the microphone. This is the Highland Park Planning Board Reorganization meeting, and I'm going to turn it over to our counsel, Roger Thomas.
Before we end up doing the roll call, we need to swear in some people. That includes Ellen, Scott, Alan, and Matt. So if you all stand, please, and repeat after me. I, and then state your name. I solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties of the office of a planning board member according to the best of my ability. I do further solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. So help me God. What I'm going to do is pass these out. If you'll each sign them and then send them back.
I got one.
Hold on. This is not what you need.
Oh, it's Scott.
You can sign mine.
You've always wanted to be Scott.
I'll sign yours.
Okay. With that, Jen, if you'd be kind enough to do the roll call, please.
Ms. Ham?
Here.
Mr. Brusher?
Here.
Mr. Chin?
Here.
Ms. Hathazzi?
Here.
Mr. Hale?
Here.
Mr. Benares? Mr. Malay? Mr. Perlman? Mr. Stern Cardinal? Mr. Williams?
Okay, you're good?
Here.
Good. These are not the hard questions. We do have the minutes. We're going to put those off to the end of the reorganization. The first order of business with regard to the reorganization, excuse me, is the nomination for the chair for the year 2025 of the planning board of the borough of Highland Park. Is there a nomination for that position? Nominate Rebecca.
Second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, the nominate. Oh.
No, I agree.
Let the record reflect that Lisa agrees. Okay. Hearing no other nominations, if we could have the roll call, please, Jen.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hathazzi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Absolutely.
Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Ham?
Yes, and thank you all again for your nomination. I always really appreciate it. All right.
And Chair, it's your meeting.
Thank you so much. So we'll just continue on with the selection of officers. Next up is our vice chairperson. And I will say that although Pedrick is not here with us this evening, I think he's served in that capacity for a couple of years now and has done just fine in that role. So I would nominate Pedrick Halley for vice chairperson. Second. Take a roll call vote on that, please, Jen.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hathazzi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Ham?
Yes. So Pedrick, you've been nominated in absentia. Good job. Next up, we have our secretary for our board. And again, I'd like to put forth the nomination for Alan Williams, who continues to do a fantastic job in that role for us previously.
Second.
All right, can we get a roll call on that?
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hathazzi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Ham?
Yes. All right, next up, we have our slate of appointment of professionals and staff. Can we do this all together?
You can if you choose.
All right. We've been working with Roger Thomas of Dolan & Dolan as our board attorney and Chris Cosenza of Moody Rick's Kiss as our borough planner. And of course, we have Bruce Koch from CME Associates as our engineer. And Maureen is not with us anymore, so Jen, I assume I'm going to be able to nominate, no, who's going to be our clerk?
She's gonna be the clerk pro tem for the meeting.
All right,
John just standing in, still only.
oh, okay. Well then, Maureen is still our nominate, we can still nominate Maureen as our board clerk with Jen serving pro tem for now. If that's all right, we can nominate that as the slate of our board professionals for 2025.
I'll second that.
All right. Take a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Rusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hazy?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Ham?
Yes.
Thank you all.
And thank you for all our professionals and the great work you do. We do very much appreciate it. All right, before we get into the next step of setting our 2025 meeting dates and the 2025 official newspaper selection, something's been bubbling in the background. As all the board members know, we're a board that's very in favor of public involvement and public comment and doing what we can to involve members of the public in our proceedings. So there's been various requests to see if we can open up our board meetings to participation by the public by Zoom, which is a wonderful advancement in technology that we would love to embrace, but we do have some limitations both in our rules and in our procedures that affect that. And that's, we as a board hear a few types of applications when people come before us, basically 3 different types. Open public comments, where people can come in and comment on basically anything that is on their mind during our open public sessions. We have commentary on things that are referred to the board by town council, such as ordinances or modifications to the master plan, or other similar types of subjects for our general review and consideration. And then we have a third type, which are applications for hearings before the board. For types 1 and 2, for public commentary and for commentary on matters referred to our board for compliance with the master plan or on the master plan itself, we don't take testimony when we discuss those matters. So we're not creating a legal record for the benefit of someone else. We're creating a record for the benefit of anyone who is listening in, participating in the township, providing their feedback to us as a board. So when we hold a hearing for an applicant who is bringing an application before the board, we're serving a judicial role in that capacity. We take testimony, we examine evidence, and the applicant has the right to cross-examine anyone who gives testimony either in support or in opposition to their application. And because of that, having the public provide input on hearings by Zoom creates a challenge in that it affects the rights of the applicants in how they present their application. Because remember, everything we do here is also subject to review in Superior Court and all the courts above. So we have to be very careful in how we preserve the rights of the applicants and the record that's presented before us.
And the rights of the public.
And the rights of the public as well. So in consultation with our attorney, the recommendation has been that yes, we can open up our meetings to public commentary on the first 2 items, which are again, just general public commentary on non-agenda items and public commentary on referrals to us that are non-hearing, non-testimony based matters. But on the third type of matter, just as we require all our applicants to come in person to provide their testimony and their evidence and their experts and create their record, which is also in section 6.05 of our rules of conduct, anyone who wants to provide opposition or even support for those applications has to similarly appear so that the applicant can preserve their right to cross-examine and make a proper record of the hearing. So it's a little bit confusing. It's a little bit back and forth, but it does allow us to somewhat open up our meetings to public comments without causing issues or infringing on the rights of applicants and the public on the hearing portions when those come before us. So did I get all that right?
You did, in fact, yes. Please.
Question, when someone is participating in the meeting via Zoom or in person for the public comment portion of our meetings that are non-testimony, do they still have to state their address?
Yes, it's preferable because basically what you're looking for is comments and you want to know where those comments are from. Are they from residents? and therefore the address is important, or for non-residents, and sometimes that makes a difference in terms of what they're saying and who's saying it. So yeah, I do think it's important to end up having not only the name of the address.
Another question to follow up that, does it matter whether the person, well, if someone's stating address, does it matter whether the person owns the property at that address or specifically occupies residentially?
Doesn't
That
matter.
address? Okay.
The address is the address.
And one other follow-up to that, for someone to make public commentary, do they have to be a resident of the borough?
No,
Or can people make public comments that like maybe work in the area or just, are?
Or just got nothing better to do on a Thursday night. The answer is yes.
Okay, so I believe in general, we don't require a modification to our proposed rules because nothing in the rules prohibit us from allowing public comment by Zoom as long as it's not on a matter of testimony and hearing. Our rules do require that testimony and hearing be made in person. So I don't think we need to modify our proposed rules, but I'm putting all this on the table to say for notice purposes, so people know what rights they have at our meetings, we do need to modify our notice requirements, which our council is going to work on from the feedback of the board and what we decide to do here.
I agree, and I think that just for purposes of assurance, I will look at the rules to see if there's anything that needs to be tweaked. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Actually, I'm gaining my voice, to be honest with you. The holidays were not great.
So, yeah.
So we had a little discussion about the procedures for public comment, and the procedures in the council meetings have changed. So at one point, the council and the public would go back and forth in the middle of the meeting. Our new procedures are that there's a public comment period, the public comments, and then the public comment period is closed, and then the board and the mayor decide who wants to, if they want to respond. So should we come up with those rules as well for how public comment works via Zoom?
I tend to think, my personal opinion is that if you end up having comments at the end of the meeting, it is usually better to end up dealing with them as a group, and then if board members wish to respond at the end, they can respond. Because I do tend to think that what ends up happening is that if you start responding to individual comments, then you potentially get into what I think the council was concerned about, is a dialogue. And then that dialogue gets into a debate, and then that debate gets into an argument. So you don't really necessarily want to have that happen, and I don't think it's appropriate to have it happen here. So that's my opinion, but it's your board, so you can do it as you choose.
So I would agree with that. I think that the procedures that are working at the council, where there's public comment, closed public comment, and then response by the board, seems to be streamlining meetings, seems to be having actually more questions answered than going back and forth in a debate format. And I think it seems to be working pretty well, and I would argue and recommend that I think we ought to do the same here.
I also think there's a benefit to having the same policy across the
consistent.
various boards and councils, so members of the public know what to expect. So I am also in agreement that I think that is a way to properly handle it. Now, in full disclosure, our board rarely gets a multitude of commentary at our meetings, whether online or what have you. But when we did have some ordinances that were controversial, I think that is how we handled it. We let members of the public speak, and then at the end, after they were finished, we had responsive commentary during COVID, and I think that process did work. So unless there's other objections or viewpoints, it seems like a rational and reasonable way to approach things.
I would agree.
Okay. So with that, as far as our 2025 meeting schedule, knowing that we need to modify our notice provision that's at the top of the schedule, does anyone have any comments on the dates themselves?
If you would like, you could also include in that, the newspapers. I know that there are going to be changes, as many of you know. The Ledger is no longer going to be publishing a newspaper as of sometime in February, much to my chagrin, because I still get it delivered. But the fact of the matter is, you can do both if you choose in a single motion.
What would be the second?
It would be the motion would be the approval of the it says 24, but 2025 meeting dates and the designation of the official newspaper.
Yes. As you said, those changes are coming. There's ongoing updates in the legislature about how to handle newspapers that are no longer going to be printing physical media. It's an ongoing process. For right now, we can still select the Star Ledger as our board newspaper, even if they're discontinuing physical prints. We may have to revisit that in March unless there's further extensions on that legislation. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, with that, I'll solicit a motion to approve the dates and the selection of the Star Ledger as our official newspaper.
Home News and Tribune.
Home News and Tribune is our official newspaper.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
And you don't need a roll call, you can do a voice vote.
all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Very good. All right, that takes us to the rules, adoption of the rules of order. Roger, should we put this off?
Why don't you put it off until the February meeting, and that way I can take a quick look. I tend to agree with the chair that there's probably not going to be a need for change, but just in case, I'll look at it very quickly and get back to Rebecca, and then we can have that again on the agenda for the February meeting.
Great. All right, so we're going to put off adopting our rules of order while our council takes a chance to look at it, and in light of our new policies that we're looking to implement to be more inclusive to the public on portions of our meeting. All right, so with that, let's circle back around to the October 10th, 2024 meeting minutes and any comments there too. And Phaedra, I'm already ahead of you. We know we've got your name spelled wrong.
That was my only comment.
I was gonna make the same.
Were there any other comments to the meeting minutes from October 10th?
Yes.
Oh,
On page 4, first paragraph, I'm not sure if the second line where it says pre-existing conforming use condition would be pre-existing non-conforming use condition.
Which paragraph?
Page 4, the first paragraph of the page. I haven't looked at the video recording, but I was curious about that.
A pre-existing non-conforming use condition. Yes, I would agree with that. I think that is supposed to be a pre-existing non-conforming use condition. Anything else?
Yeah. Immediately following paragraph, I believe that should be instead of U overlay zone, stream overlay zone. And then about midway down the page, paragraph that begins, Mr. Eisdorfer said, I'm more comfortable. I believe when he said, so now it's the FEMA map, not the 2016 map, but the 2028 map, do we need to indicate that that was a theoretical or hypothetical map and not some map that actually exists?
Well, your point is well taken. That 2028 map would not exist now.
In case someone's reading this and
But
is really looking for a map. He said there was a map.
could we change the reference to say, but a future 2028 map?
sure, that makes sense.
And then the paragraph immediately following, just floodplain is the other type of plain.
Ah, yes.
And those are all of my comments.
So is that your motion to approve the minutes as modified as you suggest?
I'd like to hear if anyone else has anything first.
Roger's anxious for us to be done. Anyone else have any comments? All right, then is there a motion to approve the minutes subject to correcting the spelling of Kalicia's name and the modifications proposed by Alvin?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call vote, please.
Mr. Brescher? Mr. Brescher?
Would you pay attention, please?
Yes.
Ms. Hazzy?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand?
Yes, thank you. All right, and with that, we have not noticed the public's ability to join us via Zoom for this meeting, so I'm not going to do it at this meeting, but hopefully for future meetings, we will at this point open it up by Zoom. So for today, I'm going to open up the meeting to public comment for any items not on the agenda. But seeing no members of the public present, I will close the meeting. Do members of the board have any further comments, observations, questions about what's going on in the world?
If we have Zoom and people here, who goes first?
I think the members of the public who are present would have the opportunity to
Yes.
speak first.
That'd be good.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is the borough exploring acquisition of any properties in the immediate vicinity of Penstock or the municipal parking lot? If that's not something that can be disclosed on in public, then I did not have the answer.
Not that I can speak, I don't believe that we're there yet.
Okay, got it.
Got anything interesting happening? Oh, sure, go ahead.
Clarity, so there are these little numbers on the curves, and I'm wondering if those were left over from the street fair, or are they like areas where maybe like parking meters might go? Someone asked me that question recently.
They're left over from the street fair.
That's what I thought, okay.
Nice being able to interrogate council.
Someone asked me, they were like.
No waiting in line here.
There you go.
Parking meters or the parking spots, and I was like, I think those are left over from the street fair, but I will ask.
Definitely left over.
Scott, anything interesting to share?
No, we've been a little slow for the holiday season.
All right. All right, with that, I think I'll solicit a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. Always appreciated.
Thank you.